إن الحمد لله ونحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Before I give salam, I've been monitoring since morning, and I feel this is an entrepreneurship convention, so I'm going to give my salam. So I'd like all of you to return me a better salam that I'm going to deliver, okay? Can? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah. Zaki, is the setting correct? Hang on, you guys. Once upon a time, my dream was to actually become an architect. So of course I didn't get the blessings of my mother and ended up going into doing accountancy. And I believe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has greater plans than me, for me, and that's why I'm on stage today. Close to being an architect, but more of an architect for the startups. I'll get a little iffy when my presentations. Hang on, just hope. Okay, 16 years of my life has been dedicated to development of software development, product development, marketing and design. And for the past 7 years, my journey as an entrepreneurship has been nothing more than a series of failures and more failures and more failures, and of course success eventually come, alhamdulillah. For the past 5 years, I've co-founded Code Army. Hang on, guys. Inshallah, he'll be okay at this. We founded Code Army while I was in London just about 5 years ago, and we accompanied Code Army for the sole purpose of empowering people with creating innovative products and services through a methodology that is known as the Lean Startup. And of course, I'm also the founder of Islam Audio. Being a Muslim entrepreneur, I also have a side project for the past 3 years, and I'm working mainly with many Islamic publishers to convert their books into producing Islamic titled audiobooks in the market. And you can find this app online on the App Store. I would like you to remember the famous Masjid Al-Nabawi in the beginning of my slide. And as I was going through reading the architectural books about the history of the mosque, and I'm going to take you back 1,430 years ago, where the land was just, empty, and it was actually at the center of the old city of Medina, where our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had built this very simple structure with measures against 30 meters by 35 meters. And of course, it was one of his first priorities was to build a mosque, right? And it was built with purely mud bricks. The floors was literally unpaved, according to the recordings. And and initially, at the beginning of the building, there was no roof. So when the rain comes down, the Jama'ah and the Sahaba will then complain to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we need a roof, right? And the roof was then being with the support of the palm trunks and dried date leaves as the roof. And why I'm telling this story is because I'm drawing out a few lessons as a startup coach myself. And if I look at the quick timeline that I've created from what I've read, just a brief summary, right, of how it started and where it is now, that you can see, how it began in the beginning as a simple structure into this magnificent, architecture, and it's also known as the second holiest mosque in Islam, and of course one of the largest mosques in the world. And while reading the history in detail, what I'm going to gather and share with you guys is that some of the lessons, are like 3 broad lessons I've learned. Learning about how this process of this mosque being built right now. First is that it meets the needs of the people. Okay. Number 2, relating it to as a startup, the use of continuous improvements, and of course, lastly, at the beginning is always basic, and you got to get comfortable with imperfections. Okay, and these 3 principles and lessons are very close to what I'm currently teaching, which is the Lean Startup, and it actually shares some really common values in these 3 lessons. And many entrepreneurs come with me, right, with so many great ideas, want to build apps, want to build products, and they always come to me, right, I want to build such a great app, and next thing you know, they will start telling me all these features, then the list goes on to like 20, 30 features, but then you forgot, they all start very basic, okay? And this is why I've taken on evangelizing this methodology coming from Silicon Valley, and this is the author, Eric Ries, about Lean Startup, and that it's actually a methodology that Eric Ries has taken entrepreneurship and becoming it scientific-based or evidence-based. And of course, some of the key principles that you can see in Lean Startup is that it eliminates uncertainty. And of course, in startup, there's chaos, right? As I remember in a startup, and then I have to jump into design, product development, I have to go to business development. Of course, with Lean Startup, it puts some structure into what is, needs to be done as a priority, right? And number 2, what got me interested in Lean Startup is the fact that, a startup needs to develop a minimum viable product, quickly push product and design it and push it out there to the market. And number 3, since it's scientific based, it is important that those hypotheses that was created to test with the market is validated. And lastly, with such methodology, we get team members to work smarter, not harder. And one of the examples, just to give an example of what Lean Startup, especially in the topic of minimum viable product, is Airbnb. As you can see, this is how the current website looks like right now. And if you look at the hypothesis, right, in the early beginning of Airbnb, they believe that people would be willing to live at a stranger's house as opposed to in a hotel. And this story is that they actually, bought a classified page, and they said that they wanted to rent out an Airbnb mattress and to see whether people take it up, right? And they do. They found people won't take it up, so they take it to the next level, right? And they created such a simple website just to test that hypothesis, which is, in current standards with the tools that we have right now, any entrepreneur can just create, a quick website using WordPress, create, a website just to test to see whether you're going to have customers or demand for your product. For example, number 2, and this is my most favorite and the most used example in Lean Startup is Zappos. A world's biggest online shoe retailer that was acquired by Amazon. And if you look at their early hypothesis, is that they believe that people will buy shoes online, okay? And if you look at such as this website, it is most common that many entrepreneurs would just jump in and to create this fantastic looking website. But if you look at Zappos, what they did was they wanted to test, and the riskiest assumption is that would people buy shoes online? So what the founder did is that he just went down the shop, down in San Francisco. We created a deal with the shoe shop, and whatever shoes that he managed to sell online, he will come back to the shop and he will sell it. And he does it by this really simple website at a time. I believe there's the many tools out here right now, like Shopify, like e-commerce website, that's available where many entrepreneurs can actually just take up these tools to start testing your hypothesis, right? I mean, the importance here is to find out, will people actually buy your product or the customer is. And again, this is very close to me in Code Army. We have this online command center that we call it. Okay. And we use this web app to actually filter some of the best ideas and people that goes through our program. And we, in the early beginnings, and then of course at the back end of this app, there's just so much algorithm and gamification techniques, that in the beginning we believe that we are able to filter the best ideas and people without meeting them face to face. So how do we do it before the app? Because as you know, right, product development and building an app take such a long time. So we as a lean startup practitioner, we knew that we cannot afford to spend 3 months, 6 months building the ultimate app we want to build, right? So in the early days, literally this is what I was working on the computer. It was just a spreadsheet. And we had all this algorithm and gamification formulas at the background just to test what was working and what was not. And at this foundation, it made my decision to be very easy in terms of what does it need to build the ultimate web app, as you've seen earlier. Okay. So this is what we do in Code Army as the lean startup evangelists and trainers. We're in fact the ASEAN and Asia representative across 200 cities that we have impacted over 25,000 entrepreneurs worldwide. And being the ASEAN and Asia representative, we're actually the first ever regional partner to take care of 14 countries around the region on the lean startup methodology. And 2.5 years ago, we've been working with Khazanah National in a project called Project Brainchild with the sole purpose to launch new startups within their lean companies and contribute positively towards nation building and at the same time fostering innovation within its corporates. And as you can see, for the past 2 years in our program called Project Brainchild, we have received over 800 applicants from all these great big companies in Malaysia. And at the end of it, through this program, we have successfully, alhamdulillah, launched 3 startups that was now well-funded and with a combined total funding of over R1 million. And these are all employees and in the companies of Khazanah National. So with the success of Project Brainchild and seeing the signals coming from the corporates, we have now also recently this year launched a new sub-brand called the Lean Armada. And we have also been collaboratively working with General Electric this year to push the lean startup to all the corporates. And you might be wondering, right, lean startup does not just work in the startup environment. Here I can share with you that lean startup has been implemented successfully in a corporate as big as GE, and at the core of their culture is the lean startup, which they call it FastWorks, has impacted over 300,000 employees worldwide. And we are going to do that this year, inshallah, with the help of GE, to give impact and a lean startup within the Project Brainchild lean companies. I'm coming close to my end of my session. So, this lean startup is, if you read the book, it's very theoretical. But what I can share with you today is that you can actually start, quickly make experiments. And this is a quick guideline. If you have a problem that needs to be solved, you first identify the problem, identify all the assumptions that you have about those problems, and create a series of experiments to test those assumptions. The easiest thing to do is that I can give you a challenge right now, is maybe during the lunch or break later, what you can do is that, think of a problem trying to solve right now or the product trying to build, just find 5 people in this audience, just to make it easy and talk to them to see what kind of problems you discovered, what kind of learnings you've discovered. And of course, transform those learnings from experiment into learning metrics. And from those learning metrics, and use it to make decisions, either to pivot or to persevere. Okay? And you know, like many startups, and in 5 years in Code Army, it's been really tough, right? And if you look at the definition of a startup that is made popular by Reid Hoffman, a startup, you know, launching a startup is like you jumping off a cliff, and while you're jumping down the cliff, you're trying to make an aeroplane on your way down, and you have to go up, right? And and it's also very reflective of what life is, right? You know, a life as a startup has its stages, you know, down to operations, down to processes, down to even the product development. All right? I'd like to end my session today with just a quote and a verse from the Quran. You know, latar kabun tobakan an tobak. You know, you certainly will go through life stage by stage in this life and this hereafter. Same like a startup, you know, products go stage by stages. You gotta be patient with it. And of course, thank you so much for listening to me. And please reach out to me. I'll be around till lunchtime because I gotta catch a flight just in the afternoon. Please come to me, reach out to me, pull me aside if you have any problems with your startup, your ideas. Maybe I can just chat with you how to evolve, you know, to talk about your problems and the ideas and solutions. Do hook me up on LinkedIn. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.